I'm Chati Coronel and I'm an artist, and I'm showing with Silver Lens at Art Fair this year. My philosophy as an artist, it's changed a lot since becoming a mother. Also since living in LA and then coming back to the Philippines. I think when I started, it used to be all about expression and all about freedom and how far can I take this in terms of freedom. And when I became a mom, I had more of a ferocity that I didn't have before. But it wasn't about that edge anymore. It wasn't about angst. It wasn't about that. It became something else. Like, okay, what can I really bring to the table? I came back to a really exciting scene in Filipino art, and my friends from way back from the 90s, like, wow, I'm looking at their work, like Nano, and Mariana Ching, and Yasmin, and Geraldine, and they're like, this is amazing what you guys are doing. So I kind of went back to the drawing board. As always, I think the best answers come from when you're not looking outside, when you're looking inside. I have a very strong spiritual life, and that has to come out, And when we came back, I had turned 40, which is like the most awesome thing. You get to think of your life in terms of decades. Well, suddenly I ask myself questions like this, where it's like, have I developed a voice as an artist? By 2012, I think I had developed it. Because I've been always trying to mix the non-figurative with a figurative word. There was a time I was trying to choose between the two, and then I realized I can't. I love both, and both is like a really legitimate form of honest expression. So I didn't choose. By 2012, I had found a way to kind of merge it together within the layers. I've always been interested in the beginning of things. I think answers are in the beginning or at the end. Since we don't know the end yet, I thought of going back to the beginning. When I was studying architecture, my most favorite book was called Between Silence and Light. It's a book of the compiled lectures by Louis Kahn, the architect Louis Kahn. And that's, I think, the influence for me, because he always said that to find the essence of something, you got to go back to the very beginning of it. Like, he was an architect, so he says if you're designing a school, then you got to go to the question, what was the first school? Was it just, a man under a tree teaching someone something? What was the first window? Was it just something that was, cut out from a rock, to see outside? So that stuck to me, and I've been carrying that all the time. Every time, there's some kind of, not problem, but challenge, I always try to go back to the beginning of things. About last year, I've always loved Michelangelo's work, and let's figure this out. Why do I love this so much? It started with my Leda painting. So I said, okay, let's have a dialogue with Michelangelo about his Leda painting. It's a very mysterious piece because I think it was lost, and the images that have surfaced, they're not even sure it's Michelangelo's, but it does look like Michelangelo's. So I thought, okay, let's start from the beginning. Let's start with nothing. Of course, being an artist is amazing because you get to dive into anything that's, drawing you in. So I said, okay, start from nothing, start from clouds, start from gestures and nothing. And, I was kind of waiting for it to speak to me. Okay, so, and then, all these things came to me, like, in the beginning was the word. I grew up in Catholic school, so these are the things that came to me. So I wrote words on the painting, and it started from that. And then, I said, then I'll seal it with the form of Leda. So this is the form of Leda and the swan. The same form as Michelangelo's, but that's inside it is me figuring out, what's the beginning of things. It's me. There's universes inside that. We had a very, very milestone trip to Italy this year, my husband and I. But it had nothing to do with art. We wanted to catch a Radiohead concert. I mean, we hadn't seen Radiohead perform in LA. It's an influence to both of us, me and my husband. So I thought for his birthday, let's figure out where Radiohead is playing. And it happened that they were playing in Italy. So, let's just throw the hat over the fence and buy the tickets to the Radiohead concert. So we did. So we kind of planned it around that. And then so I thought, wait a minute, I'm doing all this Michelangelo research. It's at the Sistine Chapel. So we got to go to Rome. So, and that was just awesome. Like, it's hard to explain it. I've only seen Michelangelo's work in pictures and in mugs and in everything, right? Notebooks and all that. But seeing it there is just amazing because it's so, you can't separate it from the space that it's in, and it was really, really touching. I don't know if I could describe it in words, but I did lots of paintings after that based on the Sistine Chapel paintings by Michelangelo. And one of them is that one. It's called God Hand. So what I did was I took all the hands of God in all the paintings on the Sistine Chapel, and I added some, and then put it in all in one painting. Got interested in his version of the creation story, and it happened to be the creation, right? The beginning of things, the very beginning of things. So, I mean, I haven't been a practicing Catholic for a long time. I've practiced other things since, like I've been practicing Buddhism and all that. And it's like, that brought me back to, I learned these things for a reason. So I went back and researched creation and kind of put my take on it and, like ask questions to myself. Being an artist, you're like an extension of, the creator. Like you create, that's what you do for a living. I wanted to examine that force. So we have that force inside us that makes us, make these things. Art fair paintings. We're deciding to put in the two daughters of me. Art fair is exciting. It's an exciting thing for me. I've heard people say that, it's too much, it's overload, it's overstimulation, you're just breezing through it, you don't have time to stop. But for me, I want to bring my work out there, that's, for me, I don't paint for myself. I paint because these things have something to give to other people. So the more people it gives to, the better it is for me as an artist. So I have no problem with lots of people. That really crazy energy, I mean, that's fine. We're getting people who are so used to going into malls and looking at things that way to look at something else. For an artist, it's a chance to speak to people who wouldn't normally go to a gallery. And I feel like it's for them too. It's not like, it's extending my voice, I think. It's like a platform for an artist to speak to more people. What's good about presenting the work in social media, it's kind of pulling an audience that might not think of going to the gallery. I mean, I think it has that kind of same energy where I think it's a younger audience too. I see a bunch of young people. It's like art fair is like a hangout. Let's go. It's like something new to do. But if you can get them that way, it's like a come on, So if you can get them to ask more questions and, be more interested in the work. It's really about hanging out and enjoying the work, And I want them to see that it's the same in a gallery. You just hang out and enjoy the work. No one's gonna ask you, what's your take on it? It's okay. It's okay to just enjoy it and just feel it. It's really fulfilling to be able to speak to people who, you may not really have a way to connect with in a different sense. There's no correct interpretation of the work. I mean, however it draws you in is correct, is right. So there's no, at least my work is like that.